Good afternoon, folks. How you doing? Hope you're doing well, and welcome to this third Q&A. We've had a real day for things kind of going wrong left, right, and centre. So I'm hoping that you guys can hear me out there and everything's working. We're going to start with a song again, and this is something that I'm going to sing a song actually. I can't play and sing it very well, but I'm just going to have a little bit of fun and do it. This is a little thing called Ain't No Stopping Us Now. I hope this bloody works. Ain't no stopping us now. We're on the roof. Ain't no stopping us now. We got the groove. There's been so many things that have held us down, and now it looks like things are finally coming around. I know we got a long, long way to go, and what will end up, I don't know. And we won't let nothing hold us back. We're getting ourselves together, polishing up our act, yeah. If you've ever been held down before, I know you refuse to be held down anymore. Well, won't you let nothing stand in your way, yeah. I want y'all to listen to every word I say, Ain't no stopping us now. We're on the move. Ain't no stopping us now. We've got the groove. Ain't no stopping us now. We're on the move. I know. Ain't no stopping us now. We've got the groove. I know you know someone that has the negative vibe, and if they're trying to make it, they only push you aside. They don't have nowhere to go. Ask them where they're going, they don't know. And we won't let nothing hold us back. Getting ourselves together, we're polishing up our act, yeah. If you've ever been held down before, I know you refuse to be held down anymore. Well, won't you let nothing stand in your way, yeah. I want you to listen to every word I say, every word, come on. Ain't no stopping us now. We're on the move. Ain't no stopping us now. We got the groove. I know. Ain't no stopping us now. We got the groove. Ain't no stopping us now. We're on the move. I know. Ah. Hey, that was kind of nerve-wracking. How's everybody doing? Have we got any folks in the house, Jan?
We have, yeah. We've got Hugh.
How you doing, Hugh?
Saying good afternoon. That's Peter Nelson, actually. Sorry about that,
Good afternoon, Peter, as well.
Yeah, Hugh's saying, he obviously tuned into my art thing this morning. So thank you for that, Hugh. Glad you liked it.
Brilliant.
Laurent is here again. Stripey Fox.
How you doing?
Andy T says, hi, good afternoon to you both.
Hi there, Andy.
And he says he'll pick up a pencil at some point, I promise. It's a message from me. Yeah, we've got Hank in the house.
How you doing, Hank?
Let's have a look. I.A. Griddle, I think it is. Matthew Spencer.
How you doing?
Yeah, so here we go. Just one thing to Long. I believe you did a question earlier on the super chat. Could you just get that typed in?
I know what they are.
You know what they are. You know the questions.
Yeah, so just really quickly, I mean, it's not good for Super Chat, but yeah, if there end up being a lot of questions and you want to get your question to pop up to the top, you can click on the little, it's actually a little $ thing next at the bottom of the chat window, and your comment pops up in a big coloured window. But yeah, I can remember what he asked. One question he asked was, I think this is essentially, have I ever played a JD bass? I think it was probably because I'm a bit of a Mark King fan. For those that don't know, Mark King, the famous bass player, the old slapper, he was synonymous with the JD make of bass back in the 80s, and they were like beautiful, a little bit alembic-y, but not exactly. So yeah, I have actually owned a JD. I had a JD Roadie. It was not the one like Mark King's with the through neck and the sort of multi-laminate neck. It was a painted finish. It was like a sort of metallic mint green. So the whole neck was painted mint green and stuff. But it had the same controls and everything, and the same pickups. And it was an astonishingly good bass. I loved the preamp on it because it was dead. Like a really early kind of active preamp, and the controls didn't do exactly what you might expect. You know, you'd turn the treble up, and then the mids had kind of come up with them, and things like that. But it had a flaw, unfortunately. It was a used one. It was quite an old one, and they have very thin, delicate necks. Is it walnut or... No, it can't be walnut. I can't remember what the mahogany maybe. I don't know, but very delicate, thin necks, and they are prone to, over a long time, to warping, and this one had it. So basically, if I set the truss rod right to get the right amount of bow in the neck or relief in the neck on the G string, there was like loads of it on the E string side, and I just couldn't get it to balance the way I wanted it. So unfortunately, I sold it on. So yeah, that's that one. The other question he asked was... has actually gone from my mind. So if he wants to type it up again, don't hit the $ again, though. You've done that once. I will remember anyway.
I'll look out for it.
Yeah, look out for it. Yeah. Anything else, Jan? Anything else come in there?
Hugh's asking, are you going to use your bass go-go bar today, Scott? Is that your whammy bar? I don't know.
I can do.
Is that the same thing?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a little bit of a funny situation today because I ordered some strings. I need to get a new ordering with GHS, so I'm just kind of buying odd sets at the minute. I ordered some strings off of Amazon, thinking I'd ordered long scale rotor sounds, 40 to 95 or something like that, 40 to 100. And somehow I've ordered medium scale strings, which are technically a better fit for this bass, but they're like ridiculously light. If you've ever read my article on string choice, you'll know my feelings on rotor sounds. Short scale strings, I love the long scale strings, but not the shorts. But having said that, they feel kind of great. I mean, but they've got this is a bit I don't like about them. On the E string, you can probably hear those kind of strange overtones. As it happens, I'm loving the feel of them. They're so light. You can... Maybe it went a bit far here. You can bend. They haven't bedded in yet. They're newly on. For miles, and for... For the slap stuff, it just feels like so easy, But anyway, whammy bar. Yeah, I might use it. I'll just... Let me do some whammy stuff just for you. Hang on. I need some nice reverb, you know. Hang on. There you go. A bit of Daft Whammy. It went completely out of tune. It really put me off there. Next.
Okay, we've got Stripy Socks says, "Hi Scott and Jan, any chance of a quick run through of the intro and verse of Harvest Home, please?"
Harvest Home. Yeah, why not? Intro and yeah, they are so like these strings. Right, let me get a pick. I have a bag of picks here. Found the other day. So I got my SW Pro back from Scotland. It was up with Bruce after the whole, getting stuck out there with the cruise thing, and this bag of picks was in there. So let me get so the Harvest Home. Right, I haven't played this for a while. So yeah, this I'll just play it first and then tell you what's going on. Do for now. So what was the actual question? Just does he want a bit of it, or
just any chance of a quick run through of the intro and verse of Harvest Home?
Yeah, that's it. I might do a little. I can't really start a lesson on it because it'll take the whole Q&A up. But yeah, that's kind of it. Oddly enough, funny enough about the whammy bar, it's really tricky to play with a pick down here because it kind of gets in the way. Yeah, it's good for some things but not others.
Hank is saying you should sing at Big Country, but you do actually do some singing with Big Country, don't you, on the BVs?
Yeah, I do. Just a little bit, because when the BVs were quite established when I joined the band, like Jamie already does quite a lot, and Mark does as well. So there's no point in stepping on the toes. But if we sort of bring something new into the set or something we haven't done for a while, that tends to, like I did a lot on the Sear tour, because that was like a completely different set. So yeah.
Eddie Arabachi, I think it is.
How you doing, Eddie?
He says, "I can never get the solo to Call Me Al by Paul Simon just right." Oh, this'll test you, Scott. It says, "At least I don't think it's just right. Do you know off the top of your head?" And verses too.
Never even tried it. Never even tried it at all. It's a great thing, but I've never worked it out, so I'm not going to have a go at playing it because I kind of got an idea what it is, but it certainly won't be right. So sorry I can't help on that one.
Matthew Spencer, hello Scott.
Hello.
I have intonation problems around the 5th fret on the E string of my Fender Mustang bass. Is that normal?
So the question I would ask if I could is it only on the 5th fret or is it like the 5th fret and beyond? So if it's just on the 5th fret, it could be one or two things. It's unlikely to be this, but it could be that the 5th fret isn't fitted in the correct position exactly. But it's very unlikely because it's probably like if it's a newer one, it's probably CNC machined and all that. So the first thing I do is just try a different brand of string. Sometimes if there's too much relief in the neck, you can get kind of wacky things going on. If you got a really high action, or if the nut's high, but that usually affects anything from the 1st fret upwards. So I guess the first thing I'd try, if you haven't already, is a different brand of strings. And sometimes I'd say almost every bass I've got you'll fret some notes, and if you're actually looking at it on a tuner, if you play the notes slightly too hard, it will just go above and then below. And sometimes you can compromise, and I do this a lot, especially with light strings, is I'll tune, especially the E string and the A string to a degree, I'll tune them when they're open, like slightly flat, purposely, so that when you fret, and if you press on a little bit too hard, it kind of, it's like a compromise, really. but because when you pluck the note, the pitch goes up and then comes back down. Just tuning slightly below usually deals with those problems, you know. But like I say, it could be a bad brand of strings or batch of strings. That's worth trying. So hope there's something you can work on there.
He's kind of just expanded on that
All right.
question. He's just put another comment on just around the fifth with flat wounds.
With flat wounds, and are they rotor sounds?
It doesn't actually.
We'll see what comes back.
Yeah,
But yeah, that is a sort of partial solution, is to tune the open knee just a hair flat, and then just see how that works. You know, yeah.
Laurent, he said his second question was, do you remember the exact moment or situation when you realised you were about to start a career in music?
Yes, I remember the moment where I decided that was what I wanted to do. Previous to that, I wanted to be two things. This is absolute God's honest truth. One was earlier on was a professional break dancer, right? And then the next thing was a professional BMXer, freestyler, and this was like, I suppose by the time I got into playing bass, I was getting towards the end of school years. You know, I was kind of 15, yeah, I might have mentioned this before, so I'll be quick about it. I went to see a gentleman called Tony Thorpe playing live with his band, and I didn't know this was a thing. I didn't know how to describe it, but I could tell that all the guys, for a start, were improvising. I could tell because, you know, one of them would play something and like look at the other one with a cheeky grin, and then the drummer would kind of like copy what Tony was playing, and I could tell this was this kind of conversational thing going on, and I thought that was amazing, and just that night seeing that gig, I was like, this is his job, you know, and I was like, that's what I want to do, you know, so that was it, yeah.
Matthew Spencer's come back again with the strings, La Bella.
They're really good strings, you know. So, you know, the other thing you could do is try the thing with the tuning the open knee. I mean, I always do that anyway, you know, just as a matter of course, especially on short scale basses. The other thing you could do, I mean, if you check the intonation at the 12th and it's bang on there, maybe just try and compromise that. Maybe just deal with it like a hair, you know, flat. I can't remember. I think he said it was going sharp at the 5th, so. Maybe just so that, you know, instead of setting it correctly at the 12th, set the intonation so it's slightly flat at the 12th, and that might just be enough compromise, you know, because quite honestly, if you're just slightly above or below on a tuner, you know, it doesn't look right, but it often it's such a tiny discrepancy that in the music you're playing, it sounds, you know, really, really close. So, yeah, that's another thing to try.
Hugh says he's glad you took up the bass rather than the breakdancing.
I know, it would have kept me fitter though. The breakdancing, I would have been much fitter.
Stephen Black's here too.
How you doing, Stephen?
He says, how can I hook up a Tascam 42 into my computer and make it work?
Oh my word. So that's relating to, I advised that he bought this particular audio interface because I was using it for my Skype lessons. I'm using a different setup now, but on the road I'll still use it. And I recommended it. We have Skype lessons, you know, I do Skype lessons with him. I recommended he bought this interface. He bought it, and we spent the entire lesson yesterday trying to get the darn thing to work. So I can't understand it. I'm sorry, Stephen. I hope we get it to work. Yeah.
Oh, dear. Let's have a look. So Peter Nelson is asking, what's the best software to use for transcribing?
So I don't actually transcribe as in write things down. You know, when I'm transcribing things, it goes direct from the ears to the memory. That's the way I like to do it. And if I don't remember it, I just sit down for a few more hours until I do. But so actually writing music, I don't do that. But I do use a little program called Transcribe. I think it's by Seventh String, I think. But if you search for it, either Seventh String or something like that, Transcribe, you'll find it, and I don't think it's very expensive, and it's just a great program. And the reason I use it, and I think there is a video I did a while back, how I work songs out, something like that, and I'll show you how I use it. I dropped my H there. I've got all Lancashire, and what you can do is loop, sections really easily. Just click and drag. And just loop a section, and then you can slow it down, and it time stretches it so it keeps the pitch the same. Nothing earth-shattering. I mean, it's just like, like everything can do that now almost, You can probably, you get apps on your phone that time stretch and stuff. But it's just, for me, it's a PC program, and it's just great. It's just really, really good. And there's a few kind of things you can use, like there's a karaoke thing which gets rid of anything in the middle and stuff. If you've got like a bass part that's slightly off to the side, you can play around so you can bring the bass out a little bit more, But I don't use anything to tell me what it is. I always just use my ears for that, And like I say, I never write it down. I might write little notes if I'm doing a gig and I'm learning a song, and I know when they count it off, I'm going to be like, which song is this? I might write something like, sounds a little bit like My Girl in C. Mid-tempo, something like that. Or I might give myself the first few actual notes just so I'm like you know what I mean? You might write down that as something 5-1-1, 5-1-1, and off I go. Hope that makes sense.
So Stephen's laughing at your reply on the Tuscan 42.
Man.
He says, it's a first world problem, it's not a tragedy.
I can't fault it.
Okay, and we've also got Andy T asking, can you still break down?
Yeah, I'll do a video on it in a minute. No. No, I haven't done that for a long, long time.
You better not, because the hospitals are a bit overloaded at the minute.
It was really funny, like we used to, seriously, walk around the streets, with a big roll of lino and a ghetto blaster and, do the full bit, But, yeah. And actually, do you know what? Let me just stick with that for just 1 minute, because that kind of music, that electro stuff, breakdance stuff, and all that early hip hop, and Grandmaster Flash and all that kind of stuff, and that period where Herbie Hancock was doing Rocket, and Shaka Khan was doing I Feel For You, and all that kind of stuff. That is my kind of like early background. I was into like bands like The Who and The Police when I was 9, weirdly enough, and then in my early teens I got into all that kind of electro stuff. I was really into the scratching stuff and all the rap and all the rest of it. And then when I started playing, and I think it's quite unusual. I don't meet a lot of musicians who have this kind of background. They're usually like just rock guys or jazzers or whatever. But that is still music that I really like. And when I create music, there is a lot of that kind of hip-hoppy, loose loop-based thing going on, and I still like it to this day, and a lot of my favourite albums are from that period, so yeah.
Mark Cosgrove says, hey Scott, I have started playing the bass and wondered if you could show me how to pick up speed as I'm struggling. And am I right in thinking that you actually did a bass sort of tutorial, a free lesson on picking up speed with a
well, I can't, yeah,
metronome?
Yeah, I did do a lesson. Pretty much every lesson I've ever done, actually.
Oh.
I mentioned this, yeah. And it's something, and you'll notice if you follow any of my lessons, like if I'm doing a slap pattern or showing you how to play a particular thing, I'll usually use a drum machine, and I'll break it right down to. I'm not going to do the full thing right now, but say we're doing something like just a major scale, or like that ain't no stopping us now, I'll kind of like start at those kind of tempos with the drum machine, which is actually a discipline and a hard thing to do in itself, in a way. Especially when it's like a rhythm like that. Just hang on 1 sec. Let me just find a 16-beat thing. So, yeah, I'll just use like a 16. And I'll start things that slow. But even though I can already play it like faster than that, when I'm practicing, I always start my practice session playing stuff that slow because it's a real discipline to groove at that speed and be in time perfectly with a drum machine. I always use a drum machine I always use a drum machine. I was going to say or metronome, but I personally don't own a metronome at the minute. It's always a drum machine. And the trick is to start really, really, really slow and then move your metronome or your drum machine speed up like 5 or 10 BPM at a time. And even though you think, well, I can do this easy at this speed, stick with it. Stick with it for a couple of minutes, and then go a bit for and keep doing that. And eventually you'll meet this kind of like almost panic point where you can't quite keep up. You're like playing. It's just like I can't do it, and maybe write down that BPM. And then back off. Maybe say you were at like 90 BPM and you went to 100 and you were like, I can't play this. Write down. It was okay at 90. 100 was too fast, and then try it at 95. You might find you can just about get it at 95, and then just write that down. 95. I played it perfectly, and then the next practice session you do the same thing and build up and just see if you can go to 96 even. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but if it's a tiny increase in speed and whatever, but you've improved and you move forward. And if you do that methodically all the time, that I think is the only way that you really, really move forward. If you just try and play as fast as you can all the time, I don't really see how you make the progress personally. So that's what I do.
So Hugh's asking, any chance of a bit? It says Angel Park. I thought it was Angle Park. I could be wrong. But any chance of a bit of?
Not today. I could. I've never played it, to be honest. So that it's one. Yeah, we've never done it in the band, so it's never really come up. But I'll put it in the thing, whatever the thing is.
Thing is a useful word.
And do it maybe next week for you.
What are you pointing at me for? Am I the thing?
Yeah, no.
Right. Okay.
Hang on a minute. I've just realised I brought myself a cup of water.
Oh yeah, what are you doing with my cup?
I've got a cup. Look, that's not a very manly man, is it? Got some nice words on it. Anyway, sorry.
It has. We'll have words after. That's my cup.
Sorry. Apologies.
Lemon Cake Gang says, what is your advice for working on ear training?
So ear training, yeah, it's one of those things that you've just it's a massive subject, right? Okay, but essentially the best advice I can give is to sing everything you play, right? Because that works in reverse, So if you learn a scale, or a whatever it is, if you sing that as well, la 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 da 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 da. Right, try and sing it without the bass as well, right? If you get that just as locked into your voice as your fingers, then if you do it as you're playing it, that thing kind of becomes one, right? And the reason I'm saying this is that the way that I learn bass parts by ear or any music by ear is, and you probably everybody probably already does this if they're just learning a song. Like if you're learning to sing, when you're at school in assembly or something like that, and everyone's learning a song or a hymn or whatever. I don't remember getting like some sheet music for it, and like so it's like C and then it's F, and you just hear it and have a go at repeating it. Some people, aren't as good as others at doing it. But that's how I learn bass parts. Is I'll try and hear it on the record. I still say record on the track, and then I'll try and sing it. And then once I can sing it, I've kind of learnt that bass part already. Now all I've got to do is like transfer that to the fretboard. So it might be like can't sing like that. Na 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 na. So if I heard that, na 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 na, then what I'd do if I didn't know what that note was, I'd go na 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 na. There it is. There. Na 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 na. And yeah, so that's. I mean, this sounds probably nuts. It's probably everyone's dropped that the viewership just dropped off right there. But yeah, that's what I do. Yeah, and that's the way I would recommend you do it. Hope that helps.
And Hugh, no worries. He says he spelt it wrong. It was just me. I didn't want to get it wrong. I thought it was angle, but I thought maybe I got it wrong all this time.
Yeah.
So we've got what's the next one? Andy T says, "Can you recommend a drum machine app, please?"
Drum machine app, right? Okay. I can't recommend a drum machine app because I don't use apps, and I'm just kind of like. I don't know. I try to keep abreast of technology, and if you were to see what's going on around me, you'd believe that, right? But I don't. For some reason, I just don't like the idea of using apps and stuff. I'd prefer to have a little unit that's dedicated to to doing the job of practicing. Now, what I used to use was a Korg Pandora PX4D, I think it was. But they discontinued them, and what I use now, and I've talked about this before, and I don't know whether it's going to be upside down. Hang on, let me just see if I can free these leads up without unplugging anything. Is that guy? Is that in focus, Jan?
Yes, it is, yeah.
So that's the Zoom B1ON. Now, this isn't me recommending that as a fantastic, fantastic unit to use live, although you could, and I have done on occasion. But it's just got a really simple drum machine built into it where you've just got. In fact, I might be able to show you on the screen. Actually, you've got. If I set it playing, you can turn this knob. Let me put it to a sort of half decent tempo. Okay, so and you just. That kind of thing. It's just got 3 controls. It's got, you can turn it on and off with the big foot switches, and then it's just got 3 parameters. One is the pattern, so the type of rhythm it is. One is the BPM, and one is the level compared to your bass. And you can plug your bass straight into the unit. You can get a great sound. You can plug headphones straight into it, and just with that one thing, the batteries last about 12 hours if you run it on batteries. You can sort of just sit anywhere and practice. So that's the way I do it. But unfortunately, I'm not going to downer on the app as such thing. I just can't recommend one because I've never done it. So yeah, but I hope that helps.
Okay, we've got a super chat question. So we're going to jump straight to Peter Nelson's super chat question.
Thank you, Peter. Cheers.
He says, if you want to learn slap, do you recommend a fretted bass over a fretless?
Well, my instant reaction was like a fretted bass, yeah. Although, in reality, there's no reason why that should be the case. It's just, I'm going to use the word like tradition, as if like tradition is anything at all, But, like people think of slap as that really nice, ringy bell-like metallic kind of tone. So a fretted bass is going to give you that kind of tone. A fretted bass is... You don't have to think as carefully about your finger positioning. What I mean is, with a fretless bass, you've got to be super precise. And with slap stuff, there's a lot of like. My hand's kind of not in that perfect one finger per fret position all the time. It's kind of doing a lot of stuff, and on fretless, it's just a bit trickier because you've got to make sure when you do that, you don't just kind of hammer on between there and there. You've got to be bang on there and bang on there. So you've got to get that pitching thing right at the same time as working on all your kind of techniques. So maybe to start with, do it on a fretted bass if you can, if you've got one available, and then maybe transfer that to the fretless. Pino Palladino back in the 80s used to do a lot of slap stuff on a fretless Stingray, and I loved that sound. It was really cool. It had a lot of chorus and maybe a bit of like oral enhancer going on or something, but so either probably slightly easier on the fretted.
Andy Turner, is it Andy Turner, Andy T, is that right?
I'm sure it must be. Yeah, it is.
So he says, thank you, that does help. I think that's with regards to the drum machine app.
Cheers, Andy.
David Kemp Hi, Scott. What do you listen out for when listening to other bass players?
What do I listen to? So, yeah, that's kind of a tricky one. I suppose really, I'm just trying to think of players that really grab my attention. It's yeah, that's an interesting one. I like to hear a real voice. I like to hear a bass sound that kind of like jumps out. It's like, wow, who's that? That sounds amazing. Um, it's kind of a tricky one. I think I kind of talked a little bit in one of the Q&As about how my favourite players are also really great entertainers as well. So I think that's it. The playing has to be beautiful and musical, but to really grab me, it's got to be entertaining as well. It can be funny, it can be sad, but it's got to have some kind of emotional connection. Whether, like I say, whether it's just like wow, or whether it's really good fun or funny, or just mind blowing. It's got to have something about it that entertains me. So I think that's an answer. I hope so.
So, Hank, I'm assuming this could be in reply to the question about the drum machine. You may know, Scott, you may recognise the name, but Hank says he owns the B1 Exxon, is it? It's fantastic.
Oh yeah.
So, Andy T, maybe that's one that you could check out as well if it's relating to your question.
Well, it is actually. It just quickly is the same. I'm pretty sure it's the same unit as this one.
Ah, right, okay.
Is it the B1 Exxon? I think. I think it's the same one as this with an expression pedal. I could be wrong.
Okay, just another option for Andy T to check out if he's looking for one.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got Stephen Black.
Hi, Stephen.
He says, I may have asked you this, but I have a friend here who was the lead singer there, I'm assuming here,
yeah.
about 25 years ago of a group called Awesome.
Right.
Have you or Jan or anyone ever heard of them? 4-guy band. I personally haven't.
No, I think I'd heard of them through what you'd said, Stephen. I think we've chatted about that before, but no, I'd be interested to see if any of the viewers at home have heard of them. So, send your answers in on a postcard.
Yeah, he says I know he's telling me the truth, but I've never found anyone from Europe who remembers them. Maybe he hasn't been telling you the truth, Stephen.
I love it.
I think I'm going to go off to Google Awesome.
Yeah.
After this Q&A.
Definitely.
Okay, so I'm not sure how to say this name, I'm afraid. Yevgeny? I'm really sorry. It's a different name. Friedland is the surname.
How you doing?
Is it worth concentrating on slap sound being same loudness as fingerstyle, or should we leave it on the technology or the compressor?
Right, okay, yeah, this is something I'd wrestled with a lot back a few years ago, when I was learning to do this stuff. Now, weirdly, a lot of people find that the slap playing is a lot louder than their fingerstyle playing. And it was weird for me because I had the complete opposite. I found that my slap playing felt to drop in volume. Now, whether that was an expectation, I was expecting it to sound more drum-like, and it just didn't happen. It could have been the amp I was using back in the day wasn't giving me the headroom I needed. But basically, I think it is generally a thing that and it was because mainly I was using, I think, a really, really low action back in the day. And, and I was digging in quite a lot with the fingers. So whichever way you have it, whether you have one louder than the other, yeah, it's definitely a good idea to try and get these things, level from your technique, definitely. And if you can just plug into a board and lay down a bass trap with no compression and little EQ or anything like that, and it sounds good, then you're onto a winner. If you're kind of struggling a lot, or you get kind of carried away on a gig, and then a compressor is always going to help, and you should still use things that improve the situation. But definitely, yeah. So, if you slap playing, so how I fixed my problem, for example, was I used to really, really lighten up on the fingerstyle stuff. So instead of really digging in, I'd sit and almost feather the strings, so that the level was more even between the slap stuff and the fingerstyle stuff. But it's hard going, is this? You've got to practice it a lot, because if you've got a certain way that you play with your fingers, a certain sort of level of what's the word I'm looking for, velocity that you use with your fingers, and you've done that a long time, you need to practice a lot, just playing a lot more quietly with your fingers. You know, get it even between the two fingers, and then you're going to balance those two things. If it's the other way around, of course, if you slap stuff's like way louder, then try and have a lighter touch with the slap stuff. I wouldn't sort of recommend digging in more with your fingers. You know, you don't want to add more work to it, but just maybe lighten up or change. If a lot of people slap back here, and you get a lot of pops and stuff when the string hits the pickup. So you could try slapping over the end of the fingerboard, which kind of like naturally compresses stuff. You know, even acoustically, doesn't matter like how hard you hit it. It doesn't get that much louder. You know, and so you can use a really light touch as opposed to, you know, there's not that much difference in sound or volume. Like I say, that's playing over the fingerboard. It tends to naturally compress it.
Peter Nelson's just saying thanks for the reply, Scott.
Cheers, Peter.
And Stephen Black, it looks like he could have actually been telling you the truth. Laurent in France says he hasn't heard of them, but Hugh, who is in the UK, says, yep, I do. The single was Ace. But then he also goes on to say, no, Tomorrow Orson was Ace. So I don't know whether that's a different song from Awesome. Hang on, Tomorrow Orson. This is Awesome, the band he was talking.
Right, okay.
I'm not quite sure. I'll leave you two to maybe communicate through through the live chat.
But thank you, guys.
And the name that I couldn't pronounce, apparently Eugene is the same, so that's a lot easier to pronounce.
Brilliant.
So, yeah,
yes.
I'll call you Eugene Friedland.
Nice one, Eugene.
Yeah. So, Laurent, he's jumping straight to the top again through Super Chat.
Oh, what a guy.
Yeah, so...
Don't forget the Super Chat, guys, you know?
Yeah, if you want to get your questions seen, just, hit the $, type it in there, and it jumps straight to the chop. Straight to the... Bass chops.
That'll do.
That'll do.
I'm going to turn the aircon on. It's getting really hot.
It is, actually. I was thinking the same. TC Electronic are making fantastic effects pedals. Have you ever tried the Hall of Fame reverb or the flashback delay?
Flashback, he means. Yeah.
He has actually corrected himself.
I love flashback, actually. I've tried the Hall of Fame reverb, and it's brilliant. I love TC effects, you know. Not a great deal to say about it. It was somebody else's, and I just kind of gave it a go. I can't remember if that's one that has the tone print thing, you know, where you can just like send presets to it with your phone through your pickup. Can't remember, but I've not tried the flashback delay. It's not really a lot I can add to that, but only to say that they are really, really great players, and I see, you know, on the circuit when we're playing live, I see a lot of pros using TC pedals, you know, so that kind of speaks volumes. So yeah, I reckon if you were out for, you know, like a delay or a reverb for bass, it would be a really good choice, definitely.
Just a really nice, I'll read this one out, a really nice comment from Hugh. He says, I'm loving Thursday from 2 till 3 now. This lockdown is testing, but Scott and yourself really cheer me up.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you.
Really nice.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so we've got Paul B. How do I get consistency of tone when I pluck the strings? Sometimes I get a nice thump, but playing the same note again, it turns into a twang.
All right, so my first thought would be, and we kind of like address this for different reasons in another Q&A. My first thought might be that you may be like, so I'm going to have to kind of turn this way and hope that the focus kind of does. So if you look at my right hand, right, if you know, there are varying degrees of angle that you can use. Right, so that was almost like finger like that, just pushing almost down and landing on the next string. And that's using this kind of like fleshy part of the finger, all right? And that gives you a nice, you're almost sliding over the string, a nice fat tone, right? If I kind of do this, I'm forced to almost use the end of my finger more, but still the flashy part there, right? And that gives a more focused, middly kind of sound. Listen to the difference. That's breaking across with the flashy part there. As opposed, let me switch between the two. So that one has got a slightly more focused punch mid-range thing. But then you come round and actually pluck the string, and then it starts to get, for me, kind of a bit weird. Because it's a bit, it's not quite as focused as that. And you've got that risk of your nail getting involved. You could accidentally do a pull, or a pop, that kind of thing. So that would be my first thing to check, see where you're at with that. Other than that, it's just a case of if you look down and you are using the same technique all the time, it's not, and in other words, it's not what I just said. Then just start really slow and just I presume you maybe using these two fingers, so just kind of like boom, 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 just like that, and just sit and just look at your hand. Look at it as well. A lot of people do this. They don't look at this hand. They look down here, but that's never going to help what's going on over here. So just kind of like hold that. Trust that if you just keep your finger there, nothing's going to happen. And look at this hand. And just watch what's happening. Just see if you see anything like changing in between one note and the other. Hope that helps.
Just wanted to say thank you to Eugene Friedland. That I'm guessing it's a she. Eugene, is it? A guy?
Eugene is definitely
a guy.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry about that. Crikey, I got the name. I pronounced the name wrong initially, and now I've got the wrong sex. I do apologise.
But I could be wrong. I might be wrong.
Eugene, please let us know if you are actually a guy. I think you must be. It was just to say thank you for the super chat donation.
Thank you so much.
And
much appreciated. Yeah.
The other people as well who've donated.
Absolutely.
Because as you know, Scott's YouTube channel is spent an awful lot of time putting free content out there to try and help people along in the bass playing journey. So yeah, just a big thank you to all the people that have made a nice donation
much
to you.
Appreciated, very much. Yeah.
Laurent, he goes straight to the top again with another super chat question. Have you heard Tal Wilkenfeld last LP?
I haven't actually, and I have to confess that I'm kind of a little bit stuck in my ways. What happened is, right, that there was this kind of, I think I got into Wooten in my mid-20s, right? I might have told you this before, that I kind of thought that all that kind of bass playing had disappeared, and thought, well, that was good, spending all my late teens, learning how to do all that stuff, and then nobody wants it anymore, mainly because of Britpop in the UK. Not having a downer on that, it's just a thing. And then, like I say, somebody told me about Wooten, and then I got practicing again. I got really fired up about, because I've always loved that kind of solo bass playing thing. But then, I think just through being busy and things like that, there haven't been that many players, and which is really bad on my part. I admit, I'm really, really behind the times. But I kind of still tend to listen a lot to the guys and gals that I've always listened to. I need to open my ears up a little bit more. I know that, but I still feel like I've still got so much to learn from people like Pastorius and Stanley Clarke and Jacko and all the jazz greats and all the rest of it, that I don't buy a lot of new bass players' music. I guess that's really bad. I don't know, but I should do. And on your recommendation, because you've sent me some pretty cool links, Lawrence. So I'll give that one a listen. I mean, obviously I've watched it play loads on YouTube and stuff, and just mind blowing. Maybe that's it. Maybe I'm go away, stop it, you're all too good. I don't know, but yeah, I'll check her out. I'll check that out, that album.
It's good to know. Eugene's just replied. He says, all good, it's just a Russian variant, and yep, a guy. So thank goodness for that. So yeah, that's I think everybody must kind of be out in the sunshine or something. It's crazy, because the last 2 weeks we just couldn't get through the questions.
No, we couldn't.
But I think everyone's out sunbathing.
There we go. Well, I'm glad we got through it. So we'll wrap it up now, I think. Then, just give you one more She is really fantastic. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, amazing. So great hair as well. I'm a bit jealous. I'm trying to do it, but it won't. It's going. This hair is going, Jam.
And what was the other guy, the other lady that Laurent sent the link? Was it Ginka Blick? Is that her name? Ginka Blick?
I think that's it. Yeah.
She's incredible.
She's ace. Like she's actually a player that I have been checking out because I really enjoy her stuff and relate to it. You know.
Actually, we've got one last question. Sorry to butt in. John Fisher. Hi Scott, hope you're well. When you played with the Animals, how do you make going to a go-go sound lively and interesting? It sounds really dull when I do it.
Going to a go-go. Did we do that one?
Was it a club a go-go?
Do you mean club a go-go? Or is it called going to a go? I'm not sure if you mean club a go-go. Let's just hang fire and see if he kind of...
I'm sorry. Laurent's just put Kinga Glick.
There you go.
What did I say? Blinga King. I can't even remember.
I thought you said Kinga, but maybe I'm cracking up.
Ginga.
Block, I think you said.
Ginga Blake. I think I said Ginga Blake.
That's what you said wrong. There you go. Yeah. We're glad he's here.
Yeah.
So
Lauren can put us right.
let's just wait and see if John says if that's Club a Go-Go. It's that kind of vibe, is Club a Go-Go. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm just going to go with it as it is. I'm going to imagine it is Club a Go-Go. And because it kind of like relates to quite a few. There are certain songs that have a certain kind of bass line where you've just kind of got to do a thing like... it
is
Club a Go-Go, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Right, so John, it's a long number of years since I played it, you know. But I think the guitar part is like. Something like that, you know. So I'm playing. You know, it's something like that, right? And I think I open up a little bit in the other sections, like walk it and stuff, or used to do. But the thing is to try and just really get off on the feel and the atmosphere, you know. So I think I would really rake that. I think he used a lot of damp palm muting, you know. You know, and really try and create this kind of atmosphere, and that's where I find the enjoyment in playing lines like that. And I was going to get on to say the things like Green Onions, you know. That's that. By the way, that's that rotor sound overtone thing. Check it out. I'm gonna. That's why I don't like them. Short scale, that is. So when you're playing a line like that, in a tune like that, same as Club a Go-Go, you've got to stick to that line because it's creating an atmosphere right through the song. It's like a kind of hypnotic thing. And like I say, I just get off on just trying to make it feel good and feel atmospheric and just go into kind of that headspace rather than like, there's nothing to do here. You know, do you know what I mean? Hope that helps.
So he's basically saying, so it's a mix of left-hand muting mixing with... So it's a mix of left-hand muting mixing with right-hand muting.
Yeah, kind of. That right-hand mute thing, right? Let me just say, that is like... It's like a magic trick, that thing, right? It does so many things for bass playing. One of the things is atmosphere. Hopefully you can hear this, right? If I just play a line... Right, that's just finger style. Now if I palm mute it and play it with my thumb, back to fingers. You know, because it's like, it's kind of killing, it's making the notes go dead really fast. It has this real, kind of like this atmospheric thing, not sinister, that's not the right word, but like, you know, it's got a real cinematic kind of atmosphere about it. The other thing where it's a cracking trick is if you're playing walking bass lines and you want to create the same vibe as a double bass, right? On electric bass, if you just kind of play the lines, you know. You know, it sounds okay. I'll do a similar sort of thing, but using palm muting and playing with my thumb. Check this out. Yeah, it creates like a real atmosphere, so it almost gives you that double bass because again, it's that dum dum. You know, you get that quick attack and then decay thing going on, like the hand motions. Right, I think that's us, isn't it, Jan?
Not quite.
All right, okay.
Just Tony from Chelsea, Michigan, USA says, Scott, thank you and your wife so much for your time today.
Appreciate it, thank you.
And Laurent has another super chat question, which shoots straight to the top.
What a guy.
Never wanted an alembic bass?
Always wanted an alembic bass. Yeah, I mean, from being like I'm all cut up over here. From being a teenager, I've always wanted an alembic bass. I saw, you know, there were three players really. First of all, Stanley Clarke. Just loved that kind of tenor bass thing he was doing, and I think his piccolo was a different bass, but yeah, his alembic sound in the 80s, wow, it just blew me away. I was just like, that is like the voice of God, you know. So that was the first reason I wanted an alembic. The second was John Entwistle. He used to use them in later years with The Who. I think it was like the Spider bass or whatever. And that just the whole vibe of that thing, the look of it, the fact that, you know, it had all those beautiful woods and stuff. Yeah, I mean, that just blew me away. And then the final one was when Mark King started using alembic basses in the sort of later 80s, and that tone that he got from those alembics was just to die for. You know, it's just amazing. And yeah, so I wanted one, but from what I could tell, I mean, I used to sort of just have a look online and stuff, and like when I was a teenager, forget it. And then I got married and we had kids and all the rest of it, and I always kind of played like semi-budget instruments because that's all I could afford. And then, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago, I thought, shall I just like sell everything I've got and get an alembic? Finally do it, and this is when I was getting into the whole short scale thing anyway. And you know, they're like, I don't know, what are they, like $17,000 or something, or $20,000? You know, to me it's just unspeakable amount of money to spend on an instrument. And I'd love one. I'd almost kill for one at times, you know. But the thing is, I kind of decided to build my own, you know, to design my own bass. And it's not an alembic. It's an SW1. It's my own thing. And I'm not comparing it to, you know, something hand built of that sort of quality, but you know, I'm happy with them, and you know, that's kind of what I play now. But yeah, I mean, if somebody walked through the door right now with a short scale alembic bass, I wouldn't be too upset, you know.
Well, Laurent reckons they should make a crowdfunding to buy you one. But there you go, that's another thing.
I actually did that as a joke once, but anyway.
Hugh, just, it did sound like Genie, just the bass line, the dum, dum.
Oh, yeah.
Mike Nash, unfortunately, he missed it, got stuck on watching an old MotoGP. Next time, so you can watch it on Catch Up, this one, when it's finished. And I think Scott may come back next Thursday again at 2 o'clock.
Definitely.
To do another session of Q&A, so no worries there, Mike. And Andy T, thank you very much, guys. Wonderful as always.
Right, thank you very much. We're going to finish off with a song. What was the mix like at the beginning? Was it okay? Because we're kind of going seat of our pants.
I didn't even know anything about it till you dropped it on me, literally about 2 seconds before.
Honestly, if you'd have seen me, like, moments before we actually went live, I was in bits, you know? But anyway, let's see. So we're going to do a little thing called Le Freak.
Oh, Andy T, if I ever win the lottery, an alembic will be yours.
Bless your heart. That's lovely. And likewise as well. You might not want one, actually. So let's have a go at this. We did it on the gig on Saturday, didn't we, Le Freak?
I don't know. Is this what you're dropping on me now?
Le Freak. I'm dropping
Do you
Le
know
Freak
he's dropping this on me now? This is no joke.
I couldn't think what to do. Let me just check something. There's a little line that brings the the verse, you know. Before that, it's that, isn't it, I think?
I don't know. Don't ask me.
I think it is. Yeah, that's it. Let's go with that. Right. Okay, guys, thank you very much again. I'm going to shout a little bit more about the next Q&A. I've been quiet this week because last week was insanely busy for me and Jan, and I quite honestly, I was a little bit burnt out the last 3 days. My head's been spinning. So, so I'm going to make sure that hopefully people don't forget as much for the next one. And we're going to leave you with a song. Let's have a go. You ready, Jan?
I think so.
So just, All right, here we go.
Goodbye. Aww. Freak out. The freak. So chic. Freak out. Aww. Freak out. The freak. So chic. Freak out.
Hey!
Have you heard about the new dance craze? Listen to us. I'm sure you'll be amazed. Big fun to be had by everyone. It's up to you. It surely can be done. Young and old are doing it, I'm told. Just one try and you too will be sold. It's called a freak. They're doing it night and day. Allow us, we'll show you the way. I'll freak out. The freak, so chic. Freak out. All that pressure get you down. Has your head spinning all around. Feel the rhythm, check the rhyme. Come on along and have a real good time. Like the days of stomping up a Savoy. Now we freak. Oh, what a joy. Just come on down to 54. Find a spot up on the floor. I'll freak out. The freak, so chic.
Freak out!
I said freak. Now freak. All that pressure get you down. As your head spinning all around. Feel the rhythm, check the rhyme. Come on along and have a real good time. Like the days of stomping at the Savoy. Now we freak. Oh, what a joy. Just come on down. Africa. 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 Africa.
Thanks very much indeed. See you next week. Thank you.